Hello everyone, welcome to another community team Q&A. We are live here on ubuntuonair.com. If you're watching us on that page, you'll see a little video window at the top, and right below it there's an IRC window where you can log in and join the chat. There you'll find a bunch of other people talking about what we're talking about and also asking questions. You can ask us any question you'd like in there. Just start it with the word question in all capital letters. That way Nick and I get a nice highlight and we don't miss it. So like I said, you can ask us anything. We're here every week just to give updates as we have them and answer anyone's questions, make you feel like you know what we're doing. We don't have a lot of updates this week. We recently had the Ubuntu Online Summit where we talked about a lot of the things that have been going on, so that kind of took away all of our updates, I think, that we've had. If you want to go back and watch that, you can go to summit.ubuntu.com. All of those sessions were recorded, so you can go back and watch the videos and see what we talked about there. The one update I do have is about the Scopes developer competition. That is still ongoing. That's going on until, I think, the first week of December. So if you haven't started on that yet, it's not too late to get started writing a scope. I know we've seen a bunch of them being promoted on our Google Plus community as people are working on them, and some of them are in the store already, so you can try them out if you have an Ubuntu device, or even on the emulator, I suppose. But like I said, it's not too late to get started. You can go to developer.ubuntu.com/showdown to get information about the contest itself, and also developer.ubuntu.com/scopes to get information on actually writing a scope. We've got some nice templates that make it easy for you. We've got a bunch of tutorials that will walk you through the different steps. And if you go back to Ubuntu On Air's YouTube channel, you'll see a bunch of video workshops that were recorded a week or two ago that go over how to do different things, from getting set up with a development environment to customizing your scope. So there's a lot of good material there to help you out, and it's not too late to get started. All right, and I think Nick had an update on Unity 8 testing, so I'll hand it over to him, and then we will start to get to questions.
Yeah, and it looks like Nanik, however you want to pronounce that, actually read my mind, and he asks when we'll be able to see and test Unity 8, and is it true what Mark said that it is almost the same as Unity on the phone? And the answer to both those questions I can do right now. So you can test Unity 8 on the desktop today, right now, and I wanted to talk a little bit about how to do that. I'm going to be putting up a post a little bit later this week and cleaning up some of the information to make it easier. We had a UOS session on that, and so if you're curious in the meantime, you should go check it out. Maybe Mike will go find that session and link to it. But we want to enable more and more people to actually test Unity 8 on the desktop and do so easily, and do so without having to have a development version of Ubuntu installed or otherwise mess up your system, because you don't want to do that. So to answer the second half of your question, it is pretty much the exact same thing as what you find on the phone. I think there's a great video that Michael Zanetti put out, I believe, last week that might be worth watching if you want to see a little bit about what some of the differences that will be on the desktop versus on the phone, namely window management. On the phone, you obviously your one app is always full screen. In a tablet mode, you have the idea of having the side stage, and so if you've seen any mock-ups of that or been able to actually use any of the development builds of the tablet, you'll actually see that you have a main window and then a tiny little side stage to the side. So if you grab the current Unity 8 desktop next images, you'll find that they run in that sort of tablet mode, and so you'll have I actually have a touchscreen laptop, and I was playing with it just yesterday, and so it's kind of cool to be able to swipe and slide and use the desktop, but at the same time have a keyboard. So I thought it was kind of neat, and it's definitely something I want to encourage you all to check out. So look for that information. Like I said, take a look at the session that Mike linked on Summit, and there's a wiki page on wiki.ubuntu.com/Unity in LXC, where you can read about the best way to test Unity 8 on the desktop for now. So, but look for more information in the future about that. So I hope that answers the question.
That leads us kind of into the next question from Nanek. It says, when will we be able to see and test Unity 8, and is it true what Mark Shuttleworth said, that it will be almost the same as Unity on the phones? Isn't that what Microsoft tried and failed? So what we're going to do is it's going to be the same Unity 8 code on the phone and the desktop, but the actual interface that you will get from that code is going to change depending on the hardware capabilities. So as Nick mentioned earlier, there's a video out from Michael Zanetti's work showing desktop-style window management on top of Unity 8. So that's already going to be different from what you saw with Windows 8, where the Metro-style apps were always full screen, and they always hid the desktop shell. So right away, we're different in that respect. Windows are going to be regular windows on the desktop instead of always full screen. The toolkit itself offers a variety of functionality so that app developers can make their app adjust to those different form factors. So I've been playing with that myself recently on my Reddit app, and it's really nice to use, and it gives the developers a whole lot of flexibility and control over how they display their app, depending on screen size availability, or even more technical things like input devices. So it'll be the same code on the desktop shell and also on the apps, but how it's actually presented to you is going to be different on a desktop than it is on the phone. So you don't have to worry about the bad experience of Windows 8 where it feels like a phone on a large screen computer. You're not going to get that.
Sorry, I've been ferrying back and forth with Daniel on IRC, asking some questions. So I was just noting that I have some wall art in the background, which is it's a cardboard deer cutout actually, which my wife made at some point, and it's now gracing my wall. Okay. Anyway, back to the actual questions. Dimitri has a question asking in a similar vein. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Daniel's question is first, and he says, why should people care about scopes?
So scopes are a really unique feature that Ubuntu offers, especially on the phone side. It's not something anyone else has. And I've heard scopes described as lightweight apps. And it's a really good description because they provide a lot of the same functionality. I mean, a lot of the apps that you'll find in any of the stores are going to be something that goes to a remote API, pulls in some content, and displays it in a list or a grid or something like that. So scopes make that really easy to do for the developer because they don't have to worry about actually building the app. They don't have to worry about layout. They don't have to worry about styling. Unity does all of that for them. All they have to do is go and grab the data and feed the data into a set of Unity APIs, and we take care of the rest. So it makes it really easy to build something that looks nice, that functions nice. You know, we've gone through all of the UX testing and evaluations to give a nice flow for the user. So you can get content in front of the user in a reliable, predictable way very easily with scopes. And I think that opens up a lot of opportunity for things where an app would be overkill. Plus, it makes it all readily accessible. It's easy to get to anything on a scope, and you can pin it to your dash and have it there anytime you want.
Right. I would just echo Mike's sentiments. I know it's a little hard. Once you have the device and you really start to use it, you really sort of appreciate scopes, and so it's kind of a really cool concept to me. Like I said, it's I didn't have to set up my home screen. I can just sort of customize with the scopes I want, and then it's like a living, breathing desktop, if you will, to me, right? So I know I'm just thinking about some of the things that I used to have in the past, maybe live widgets on my desktop or that sort of thing. It's kind of goes well beyond that and is actually useful, and you can sort of actually like I said, they have like app-like qualities to them so that you can utilize them and do different things. So their overall interaction makes the device easier to use and a bit nicer. So and it's the future. So there you go. All more reasons to care about it. All right, so Dimitri asks, what about opensource.net? So I think Dimitri is talking about Microsoft's recent announcement that they were going to open source .NET and have it run cross-platform. And so I know in the past Microsoft opened some of the .NET libraries, and it's been that way for a while, but I guess now they've open sourced everything, including the core of the .NET code. So I don't know, what do you think about that, Mike?
I'm not exactly sure what effect that's going to have. I mean, we already had Mono. There was a lot of GNOME stuff that was written in Mono also. C# is actually quite a nice language. It takes a lot of the best things about Java. So I've done a little bit of programming in C#, and it was a good experience, but I still would prefer Python and QML for actual app development now. I don't know how much this change is going to drive adoption of .NET and C# inside the open source community. My guess is probably not a whole lot, just because it doesn't really give us anything that we didn't have already in other languages. But still, it's a good move by Microsoft, and I'm happy to see any move to more open.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't expect we'll see a giant ecosystem shift simply because it's not something super new or exciting, or where the ecosystem is already driving towards. That said, yeah, it's great because certainly anyone who has familiar with those languages or written in those languages in the past, or any apps that are written already in .NET, now we can have a few more cross-platform apps, maybe make it to Linux. Like I said, Mono has been there in the past, but maybe it didn't always necessarily provide everything, and it wasn't officially supported. So that does open the floodgates for those sorts of things. And yeah, you can never go wrong with having more code be in the open source ecosystem. So high fives all around from my perspective.
All right, now the question of the day from Daniel Holbach, thank you, is do we have some thoughts on the recent governance reboot discussions that started last week? So Nick, do you have anything that you want to say on that?
I've kind of been a passive observer on this. I've not stuck my neck out at all on any of really any of the thoughts. There's been a nice a round of a mailing list discussion, and of course Jonah's original post. I guess my thoughts that I would share is really that I think it's a good discussion to have. It's helpful to have. I don't think Ubuntu is alone in discussing these sorts of things, which is one of the reasons why Jonah, I think, brought it up. It came to the forefront because it's coming to the forefront in other communities as well. So yeah, it's a good discussion to have. I do think we will see some changes happen out of this, and I think it'd be for the better. So obviously, having whatever would enable more people to get involved, to feel good about what they're doing, and to be empowered. To me, that's really the big thing. Is that a lot of folks will often feel like they need permission to do things, or that they are enabled to do them for whatever reason. It's an artificial restriction. It's not something real. They have all the skills, they have the passion, they have desire, but they feel constrained by something else. So whatever we can do to sort of remove those constraints and enable them and empower them to actually go and do what they want to do, and help make Ubuntu better, is good from my perspective.
So you bring up something that I've seen mentioned quite a bit, and I completely agree with you that we have a problem that people think they need approval or permission before they can just jump in and start working on something. And that's never been the way things worked in Ubuntu, and I don't know if that message has gotten lost, or if we just assumed that everybody knew it, and people coming in later in the project's life cycle have not been made aware of it properly. So yeah, I think there's definitely a lot we can do there to let people know that they don't need to ask, they don't need to put it up for a vote, they don't need to get somebody's stamp of approval. Just pick something you can do and you want to do and start doing it. Ubuntu is often referred to as a duocracy. I know Scott Kitterman mentioned this on the IRC, not the IRC, on the mailing list. And that basically means that the people who are willing to do the work get to make the decisions on what work is used. So you don't have to put something up for a vote. You just have to go out and do it. And if you do something good, then people will adopt it and it'll get used. And that's the way Ubuntu's always operated. For as long as I've been involved in the Ubuntu project and community, as far as I know, since the very beginning, it's been like this. So don't wait around for approval. Don't try and convince people that they should do work or that they should let you do work, because that's just not how it works. Just go out, start doing something. My slogan, it's on my Facebook page and my Google Plus profile, is get excited and make things. I took this from the Edge Ubuntu guys because I really like this sentiment. If you're excited about something in Ubuntu, just go out and start making it. Getting back to the actual topic, though, I've got quite a bit of thoughts on this as well that I haven't really refined into something that I can post yet. I'm in kind of an interesting position because I have been involved in the community for a long time. I work now on the community team inside Canonical, and I'm also sitting on the community council. So I've got a lot of perspectives on this, and I can see where people are coming from, and I can also see where the perspectives people have are often wrong on some things. So I plan on writing a blog post response to this sometime soon once I've managed to get all of my thoughts into some kind of a coherent order. But once again, and just to agree, I do believe that it's a good discussion to have, and there are things that we can readily do to make things better and get more community people involved. And in fact, I've got an idea for one that I plan on kicking off soon. So keep an eye on my blog. I'll be announcing that there. That will hopefully help drive innovation from the community. All right, shall we move on, Nick? Are you still there?
Yeah, it's getting a little jittery for me. I don't know if it's just me or if everyone's seeing that. I hope not.
I'm going to blame the weather. Nick and I live in the same state, and we've had some pretty bad weather come through this morning.
This is very true.
All right, Nanak asks, will Ubuntu run any more Indiegogo campaigns? I'm not going to say that we won't, because that's always an option. I think even though we didn't reach our funding goal on the last one, it was a good project for us. It really helped us understand what people wanted and how many people wanted it, and more importantly, how to actually run a successful Indiegogo campaign. So we learned a lot during the course of that. If we do another one, I'm sure it'll be a lot more successful than the last, but there are no plans right now to do that. So I think I skipped a question earlier, and I'll tie that in. Right now we have 2 hardware manufacturers that we're partnering with to get Ubuntu phones out. So even though we didn't produce our own phone with the Ubuntu Edge campaign, we do have at least 2 different phones coming out from 2 different manufacturers very soon. I can't say because really Canonical can't say exactly when. If you've been following the Ubuntu phone mailing list, you'll know that we've been further polishing and refining the images that we're giving to the manufacturers. We've split them off from the regular development images that we're working on going forward on the Vivid cycle. So we've got the separate branch that's just getting polish and bug fixes right now to make sure that it's ready to ship on phones to consumers. So that's, like I said, if you follow the mailing list, you'll see that a lot of work's been going on that, and we're very close to having everything done that we had listed as needing to be done before the phones can ship. So that's about done. There's still a lot of logistics and manufacturing that has to go on to actually get these phones out the door and on sale, and I have no idea how long that's going to take. So the best that we can say is that it's coming soon. It is coming. Wait for the OEMs to announce it, because they're the ones that are going to know when they can actually put these on sale.
Right, and Mike makes a good point to a certain extent. Um, once the handoff is made from Canonical to the OEM, it's really in their hands with what they bring out, when they bring it out, how they market it, all those sorts of things. That's up to our partners, and we trust that they will do an excellent job at that. That said, I know how much many of you want to have and to hold a Ubuntu phone, and we want the same thing. So just teaching us a little patience, I suppose. But it is exciting that we can actually see it in advance, and so the builds that are out there, and if you have hardware that's capable, running those builds is a great way to sort of get a tease of what the phone's going to be like. So. All right, I think we're on to Daniel's question now, Mike.
I believe so, yeah. If anyone else has questions, please keep them posting. We can't take them all from Daniel. So again, if you're not watching this on ubuntuonair.com, go there and you'll get a chat widget beneath the video. Ask your questions in there. Just start them with the word question.
Right. Awesome. All right, so we'll take at least one more Daniel question. He says,
yeah, go ahead.
He says one of the points mentioned in the post was inspiration, and he asked, "Do you feel Ubuntu folks can somehow be more inspiring?"
I think we can, yes. I think what's happened is that a lot of people have just been doing a lot of heads down working. So they're focused on their contributions. They're doing some really good stuff, but because their focus is all on that, there hasn't been a lot of time and energy spent promoting what they're doing or promoting what other people are doing. So I think one of the big things that we can all do is just, when you see something neat that someone else is doing or something interesting that someone else is working on, post it on Google Plus or on Reddit or somewhere else. Just help tell people about it. There's so many more projects going on inside the wider Ubuntu project than anybody knows about. So just letting more people know what's happening, I think, will serve to inspire those who are not already working on a project to either get involved in one that's in progress or start one on their own because they see other people, just going out and doing it. So I think that's one thing that we can do to really increase inspiration within the community.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Sharing ideas. An idea can often be inspiring, and of course, different ideas are inspiring to different folks. So, one of the ways of sort of breeding inspiration within the community is to talk and communicate more. So, obviously, we have some official avenues to do that. We have things like UOS, we have Global Jam, we have our local teams, we have IRC and the forums and all sorts of stuff. But you can certainly go above and beyond that. And like Mike said, there's a lot of projects that are happening within and around the Ubuntu ecosystem that leverage Ubuntu in some way that we don't know about. And I know Mike knows almost everything that there is to know about Ubuntu, but there's a lot of things he doesn't know about either. A lot of projects and cool stuff out there, and so. Yeah, talk about it, share it, try and spread it, and spread the information around. And even if you don't directly hear back from those folks, I know personally I enjoy seeing stuff like that, and I think other people do too as well. And even if, like I said, that I don't directly join or contribute to your idea or your project, and maybe that's another way we could be more inspiring, is to make sure that when people do share their ideas that we give them feedback. But certainly seeing that stuff is inspiring to me, even within my own stuff. So seeing people make progress on things and make dreams into realities is inspiring. It's good stuff.
All right. Any other questions? Go ahead and start getting them in before we shut this down. Keep in mind that there is a delay of usually about a minute or two, so we won't get to your question as soon as it's asked, but we will get to it as long as you get it in soon before we close the video. I just wanted to give a shout out to the Westwood Middle School in Winter Haven, Florida. whose coffee mug I'm using this morning. Last week I participated in the Great American Teach-In, which is a community initiative to get people into public schools and talk about what they're doing. So I was invited to come into this middle school in their computer lab, and I spoke to the kids in there about what I do with Ubuntu, what open source is, and why open source is important. And then I got to show them Scratch, which is an MIT project to teach software development to kids, which is a really neat program. My kids love it. These kids really seem to love it, and I hope I've inspired some of them to pursue a career in software development and an interest in open source specifically. So once again, thank you to Westwood Middle School for having me out there.
Awesome. And what ages were the kids, Mike?
Well, it was middle school, so I think that's about 11 to 13 or 14, something around that age.
Nice. And how many of them actually had heard of Linux or Ubuntu or open source before that?
None of them had heard of open source before that. I did ask at the beginning of the class if anyone had, and then I asked how many people had heard of or used Firefox, and almost all of their hands went up. So a lot of them are using open source even though they don't know it. So it was kind of fun to tell them about this thing and then tell them that, oh, by the way, you've been using it and enjoying it and benefiting from it for a while. You just didn't know it. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get back in there and maybe do some more Scratch lessons with them and talk a little bit more about open source and get some of them involved in whatever projects they feel interested in.
Right.
But it was a fun experience. If anyone that gets the chance to go into a school and talk to kids about this, you'll really be surprised at just how interested they are in it.
Awesome. That's kind of a perfect age. It's when you are really starting to explore your interest and have the time and capacity to do some of these things. So excellent. Okay, well.
We do not have any more questions, so we will go ahead and wrap it up. We will be back next week, same time, same channel, for another Q&A. So if we didn't get to a question today that you'd like to have answered, be sure to join us for our next one, and you can ask it then. And of course, you can go back and watch this video and any others that are hosted on Ubuntu On Air on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ubuntu On Air. And you can follow us on Twitter at Ubuntu On Air. All right, thank you, everybody. We will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.